are live. What's good, y'all? It's your man, D.L. Saint. Welcome. I really want to know podcast, man. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling out there, man? I hope all is well. All is well on this end. Just checking out the audio. Looks like the audio is A-OK. So what's good, y'all? Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, March 25th. The first quarter of 2025 is coming to an end, guys. This is crazy. You know, maybe we got like one more month in the quarter. This is crazy. So, yeah. What's going on? How y'all feeling, man? How y'all feeling out there? We are going to be talking about air traffic control today. So I hope you guys are ready for that. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope all is well. Things are going pretty good on this end. I can't complain too much. I mean, it's not, it's never where we want it to be, is it? But, it could always be worse. I want to thank all you guys for rocking out with me and hanging there with me. When I had the computer that was down for a minute and all this other kind of stuff, man. So, and we're just going to keep this thing rocking. What did I do over the weekend? A lot of networking over the weekend, guys. We got a big show coming here in Tampa in May 1st at Trillis at Buckham. That's our where we do our comedy. May 1st, that's a Thursday. We're doing an all-star show presented by Will Golston of the NFL, 12-year NFL vet, Super Bowl champion with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I've been working with Brother Golston, and it's like, hey, man, let's do it. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen the promo spots we've done. You've seen the commercial with Will and I talking. You've seen some of the flyers. We got more flyers coming. We're going to continue to promote this. You should be seeing every Monday and Friday, every week until the show, we're going to be dropping something. So, and shout out to the comics who are going to be performing. We got some of the best undiscovered talent here in Tampa, man. Tampa is a funny city, too. I mean, Tampa, they're out there, man. They're out there doing their thing, man. They're keeping up with all the big cities. So we have Cam Mahomes going to be in that show. We got David Galarza's in that show. We got Lauren in that show. What is Lauren's last name? Lauren Default is in that show. And we got the artist DC813. It's going to be a good time. I am scheduled to host that show, but I don't think I'm going to actually host. I'll be too busy running a room, so we're probably going to have a host there. I'm talking to some people right now. I don't want to, I've already spoken. We're kind of going back and forth, kind of, hammering out the details. So once we get the details done, we'll go ahead and make that announcement. And we're going to have a DJ as well. So it's going to be a good show, guys. It's going to be a good show. It's $10 in advance, $15 at the door. We're on Eventbrite. So if you you can go on Eventbrite, look under Tampa All-Stars at Trillis, or just put in the date, May 1st. It'll come right up. So get your tickets now. Pretty sure this one is going to sell out. We do have limited seating, so make sure you get your tickets now. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. We're going to be just cracking jokes and having a good time with our family down here in Tampa, man. So appreciate that. Shout out to Will Golston. And shout out to his cigar bar. If you're ever in Tampa, you want to go to the coolest cigar bar in Tampa right now, it's Elena's. It's in Town and Country, just about 20 minutes away from the airport. Real cool vibe. It is a grown-up vibe. If you're like us and you want a place to go where grown folks can go have a good time and not be worried about the craziness, this is where you want to go. We have, it's a dress code there. Have a mixologist, the bartender, who is just a magician back there. He makes the best drinks. Shout out to Lauren. He makes the best drinks. And the way they do it is they pair their drinks with the cigar that you're smoking. So if you're smoking, I guess, a Romeo and Juliet, for instance, then they'll pair that with I think the Nina Simone is the drink for that one. Whew. Man, you want to talk about amazing, just the flavors and everything, the way it works is off the chain. It's a very, very intimate setting at Elaine. It's real cool. It gives you that old school vibe of the like the speakeasies and stuff like that. There's a dress code. This is why the grown-ups like going there. It's good times, and it's members only. So I'll definitely be linking information to that in the future. We'll probably do a proper commercial, and I'll just start running the ad. You know what I mean? So just supporting each other, making it happen. So we got all that out the way, man. What are we here to talk about today? Today, we're here to talk about some air traffic controller stuff, man. This is the air traffic control reaction video, and we're going to react to an incident that occurred in Orlando out here in Central Florida, and we're going to be reacting to an incident that occurred in Van Nuys, California. And yeah, you know, that's near and dear to me because that's where I worked for the majority of my career. I was at the Van Nuys airport. I'm looking forward to breaking that one down for you. Let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Get some indeed, man. So I'm looking forward to this, man. I know that like the air traffic control breakdowns, when we kind of do those breakdowns, and I'll let you guys know what's going on from an ATC perspective. Those videos are doing pretty good, so we're just gonna keep doing them. And a lot of people are asking me to do them, so they kind of look forward to the breakdowns. I even had my aunt hit me up, and she was asking me about what happened at DCA, and I sent her the two videos we did, the first two videos we did on that, the part 1 and part 2. And she was like, this is amazing. This is exactly why I wanted to watch. This is why I called you. So like, you know what? We're just going to keep doing it. We're going to make it happen. We got Dr. B in the building. What's good, fam? So glad to have you. Always a pleasure to have you. So yeah, man. So we're going to break this down. So the first video, man, let's pull this up. The first video. Again, this happened in Orlando. The title of the video is Stop, Southwest nearly takes off from a taxiway. Taxiway. So, you know, you guys, like, we know what taxiways and runways are over here. Like, the taxiways is where the airplanes, it's like the roads of the airport. It's how the airplanes move around. They taxi from spot to spot. And the runways is where they take off and land, right? We all know that. Bro, someone was asking me about this. Like, bro, how often does that happen when people take off and land on taxiways? It happens. Is this something that is this something I can say I've seen a million times? No. Have I seen it? Yes, I have seen it. I've seen people try to land on the taxiway, and I've seen people try to depart from a taxiway. And towards when we get to the end of this breakdown, I'll tell you. I actually have a story involving myself while I was working, and I'll tell you what airport and what exactly happened as we get into it. But, you know, it does happen. It's not something that happens on a daily. It's not something that happens on a weekly or a monthly. And like I said, I've seen it maybe in my career, personally seen it twice. Mind you, 20 plus years in the game. So I've seen it twice. And I've read reports on it, you know, a few times that I can recall. So it is what it is. We got Brother Carlos. He knows all about it. Brother Carlos is a pilot who has flown out of Van Nuys, so we'll be able to definitely talk about it, chop it up, as to what was going on, and to get his perspective, because Brother Carlos flies General Aviation, so he has a lightweight single engine, I believe. I'm not sure if you're flying a I think you said Comanche. So yeah, I mean, it's great to have him. It's great to have that pilot perspective. Dr. B just came back from London, Paris. And I am very, very thankful ATC is on point. Hey, man, bro, I am very, very jealous you were in London and Paris, man. That's what's up, man. That is a Don DeMarco if I ever heard one, bro. For real, for real. Don DeMarco. Keep traveling. For you guys out there, like you young guys out there, and even some of us older people, man, I'm telling you. Travel. Get that passport. Get you some stamps. Get out here and see the world. London, one of my favorite cities. So much culture, so much history. Like there's a wall in London built by the Romans that's still there. So like you get to see that. And what I love about London is all of the museums are free. So you can just go in and get all that knowledge and all that education and stuff. And if you ever go to London, I highly suggest that you take the Black Cab tour. It's worth it. It's worth it. Those Black Cab those black taxi drivers, and it's like the black car, not a black person, like the black car. It's like the old school black car taxis. Those drivers have to take one of the most intense exams I've ever seen just to be like a certified black car taxi driver in London. I think they have one of the best memories of any human ever created, man. It's definitely worth it. You should check it out. And Brother Carlos, yeah, he flies Comanche PA-24. Yep, there it is. So we're definitely going to be talking about that. And Brother Carlos has flown in and out of Van Nuys probably countless times. So it's definitely going to be a good show. Is that definitely different in the U.S., man? But I like it over there. You can have good conversations over there. Piccadilly Circus is really cool. They got the casino right there. Going to Buckingham Palace and, going to see Big Ben and all that stuff, man, seeing the tower and taking the tower tour. And bro, I really enjoy London. I look forward to my next trip to London. The nightlife, a little different. I wasn't really keen on the nightlife. You know what I mean? I was just there to be a tourist and sightsee. Next time I go, I'll definitely take in the arts. I go down, watch a couple, maybe a musical if I can find one, but definitely watch, some theater. And then Paris. Oh my God, Paris, going to the Louvre and just, going to see the Eiffel Tower. Just, oh man, there's so much about Paris. I'm a big fan of Parisians. I've always, gotten along really good with Frenchmen, especially Parisians. And I've always gotten along really good in UK and London. So yeah, bro, man. And they're both packed with people. Yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. And he's like, you toured both cities. That's what's up. That's what's up, man. I'm so happy for you, man. Yeah, 4 years for them to be able to get certified and drive those taxis and be able to give you those tours, man. So if you're ever in London, make sure you check out that black taxi cab tour. Definitely worth whatever it is they charge. I don't even remember what we paid, but it was definitely worth it. And also get on the Thames, man. Get on do one of those boat tours. Get on the Thames and just kind of scoot up and down the Thames. They have the big eye, the big circle eye thing, man, the big carousel or whatever. You get on that, and I remember we got on there and we had champagne. I don't drink champagne, but they had like champagne, and it was pretty cool. The eye thing, that's more of a couples thing. To be honest with you, you definitely want to get on there with your couple, or go into like a group with men and women. But yeah, man, I'm happy for you, man. I'm glad you had a good time. So let's get into it to talk about a Southwest 737 nearly takes off from a taxiway in Orlando. Let's see how this plays out. And everything, both these videos are linked in the description below. Is VASAviation. Shout out to them. They do really good work. I love reacting to their content. Shout out to them. If you haven't done so, please like and subscribe to their channel, especially if you like this air traffic control stuff. They got it all over there, and it's just like really great. And then, of course, we'll break it down over here. And like and subscribe here if you haven't done so as well. So let's get into it. Let's check this out.
Southwest 3278, right taxi.
Southwest 3278, Orlando ground, runway 17 right at Hotel 2, taxi via Hotel 2.
Via Hotel 2 to 17 right, Hotel 2, Southwest 3278.
Now, right away, I'm not sure where they started, but Southwest checked in. I didn't hear him state that he had the current ATIS. Right? He didn't check in with, hey, we got ATIS information, whatever. Alpha Bravo goes to Alpha to Zulu, and the ATIS. The automated terminal information system tells you everything about the airport. It tells you what the runways are, runways in use. It tells you about any closures. Tells you about the weather. It gives you the dew point. It gives you a whole bunch of other information, like if there's any construction going on, if there's any taxiway closures, runway closures. They'll let you know if there's any notice of airmen in the area, like any changes to airspace or whatever. So one of the things as an air traffic controller, when you work in ground control, is like make sure that they have the current ATIS. Now, here's the thing. In Orlando, they might have a procedure where another controller is responsible for doing that. Maybe the clearance delivery position, or when they send the information either verbally or electronically, they can send the information to the pilot, his flight plan and everything. And in that information, they can notify the pilot as to what ATIS information is, or there's different ways to do it. But generally speaking, if you're working ground control somewhere, if you're a young controller somewhere, make sure you get the ATIS, because that's the first thing that someone like me, maybe some contractor or some manager guy or girl is going to be listening to this tape. And the first thing I'm going to do is like, I didn't hear if you had the ATIS. So you had the appropriate ATIS code. Now, the difference is I don't have the information. I don't know what their procedures are. So there may be a procedure in place at Orlando where the controller does not have to get that ATIS code on ground. So someone else might have done it. Or maybe they're looking at their strips and the information is already displayed there so the controller knows that this pilot was given or has the appropriate ATIS code. So that's right there. And it sounds like something small, but that's the difference. When I was coming up, that's the difference between having a deal and not having a deal. Sounds funny, right? That little thing. Verify you have ATIS information, whatever it is. And so sometimes it's simple as that. Verify you have ATIS information, Bravo. No, we have information Alpha. Roger, advise when you have ATIS information, Bravo. Stuff like that, which I didn't even like doing that. Like, it just, you got to make sure that they get the ATIS code. So let's continue. And this is just Southwest Boeing 737-800, November 8315 Charlie, performing flight Southwest, performing as flight Southwest 3278 from Orlando to Albany, New York, was called out, stop, when the pilot started rolling for takeoff on taxiway hotel instead of runway 17 right. So that's the breakdown. Let's continue. So the audio note recorded. You see the airplanes moving. It gets to hotel and then it lines up with
3278. Stop 3278. Stop was 3278. Stop. Cancel takeoff clearance. You're on hotel taxiway. Stop was 3278.
Southwest 3278, yes sir, we stop.
All right, so right there, you saw so Southwest was talking to the local controller, right? Remember, local, whenever you hear local, just think the controller who's talking to the airplane is landing and taking off, right, in the sky. That's the local controller, and ground controllers are air controllers just working the airplanes on the ground. So the ground controller gave Southwest the taxi instructions. And let's go back and we just want to make sure that Southwest read that back correctly, right? So let's listen.
Via Hotel 2 to 17 right, Hotel 2, Southwest 3278.
And Southwest 3278 the read back was correct. Hotel 2 to runway 17 right. So that was the taxi instruction. Hotel 2, that's how they read it. Now, if you want to be nitpicky with the phraseology, the ground control phraseology, the taxi instruction should be runway 17 right, taxi via Hotel 2. Because Hotel 2 comes off that ramp, Hotel 2 directly to the runway. So 17 right, taxi via Hotel 2. The ground controller kind of stumbled over it a little bit. But again, that's just, if you want to split hairs and be nitpicky, that's how you would do it.
Southwest 3278, Orlando ground, runway 17 right at Hotel 2, taxi via Hotel 2.
Via Hotel 2 to 17 right, Hotel 2, Southwest.
So what she said was, she told him, Southwest 3278, Orlando ground, she said, at Hotel 2, runway 17 right, taxi via Hotel 2. Okay, cool. But when someone's listening to it, she said at Hotel 2, she's looking at the airplane. The airplane is clearly beyond the Hotel 1 intersection here on the ramp. The controller noticed that. So probably the standard taxi for Southwest would be runway 17 right, taxi via Hotel 1. But the controller clearly saw that the aircraft had already passed that intersection. So that's why she kind of stumbled a little bit at Hotel 2, which is where the aircraft is now, because she didn't want the aircraft to continue down to Gulf 1. So she's like, at Hotel 2, runway 17 right, taxi via Hotel 2. And then the Southwest pilot, they read it back correctly. And again, the only thing is, okay, what about the ATIS code? We've already talked about that.
3278.
So now that the crew's probably gone over the local, that's why they're saying they're talking to tower, and we're not hearing it. We're not hearing the clearance.
3278. Stop 3278, stop. Stop was 3278, stop. Cancel takeoff clearance. You're on Hotel Taxiway, Southwest 3278.
Southwest 3278, yes, sir. We stop.
Okay, so there it is right there. You see how close the aircraft was to the active runway from the very beginning, right? The ramp is really close to the runway. Is that the approach in a runway 17 right? Okay, so you're going to get there via Hotel 1 or Hotel 2, right? Even if they miss Hotel 2, they're going to go like via Golf, what was it, Golf 2 or Golf 1, wherever it is. It'll be Golf 1 to whatever the tie-in is, and then the Hotel 2 or Hotel 1. So not a problem. I'm thinking this is probably early in the day or maybe late in the evening when it's not that busy. The controllers, both controllers sound like real laid back, real calm, not keyed up. They're just, by keyed up, I mean, they're not amped up. They're just kind of chilling. Southwest called for taxi. He's right there. You got a good read back on ground control. You're good. Contact tower, whatever frequency that is. Southwest goes over the tower, or the tower reaches out to Southwest. Southwest, I already forgot the call sign. You see how dusty and rusty I am with this? But you reach out to Southwest, use their call sign, right? So you would say, let me get the Southwest 3278 Orlando Tower, runway 17 right at Hotel 2, clear for takeoff. And you give them the wind, wherever the wind is, right? That's what we didn't hear. It's probably on a different frequency, the tower frequency, the local frequency. That's probably what he said. And then Southwest reads it back. Southwest 3278, Hotel 2, 17 right, clear for takeoff. Here we go. That's probably what they're going to say, right? So the tower controller is looking around, and then, you heard him say, stop, 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 because he looks out there, and he sees the Southwest is on an active taxiway, and he's trying to take off. Now, I was telling you guys that I have experienced and I have dealt with this in my career, so I got a story for you.
Everybody sit down, please. It's story time. It's story time.
So, I was working at Miami International Airport. I was working the local position. Yeah, I was working the local position, which meant I was working the runaways. And it was early in the morning. We were just starting the day. Like, the people who worked the midnight shift were going home, and we were getting in there, getting set up for the day. We're probably an hour and a half away from it being busy and crazy. So I'm sitting there, I'm working the locals. I have all the runways. So they got 4 runways at Miami. It was 8 left, 8 right, 1, 2, and runway 9. So it's still kind of early, we're just getting set up, making sure everything is good. I'm working all the runways. Ground control brings somebody out, and it was a Taka Airbus. No, correction, it was Avianca. I believe it was Avianca. It was an Avianca Airbus. They're coming out. Nothing's going on. Now at Miami, when you're taxiing on, so what's the best way to put this? When you look at an airport diagram of Miami, there are 4 major taxiways, right, on the main part of the airport that all lead to runway 8 right and 1, 2, right? So 8 left would be the furthest north, 8 right is right next to it, and then runway 1, 2 is kind of like right here. So they have this big area, it's like all the taxiways dump into this one area. So it's two taxiways on the north side, 2 taxiways on the south side, and they all dump into this area. They call it the pad. So once you get there, you can get confused if you're, Avianca was coming up from the south side of the airport. They were on the furthermost southern taxiway. So when they got to the pad, I reached out to them. I could see them. We have tons of paperwork. Ground control standing right next to me. Everything's good. I see them, Avianca, whatever. Miami Tower, runway 8 right. I gave them a heading, clear for takeoff. I think the heading was 1-2. It was like a 120 heading. So it was like, Avianca, whatever, Miami Tower. After departure, turn right, heading 120, runway 8 right, clear for takeoff. When calm, they read everything back. Slight accent, but they read everything back, no problem. So I sit back, I'm doing some stuff. You have to do things with the flight progress strips. You got to scan them. You know how you scan a product at the grocery store? You got to scan the strip and that information is transferred to the radar controller, so the radar controller will know that this airplane is about to come off. And also it's for timing purposes. They time how long it takes for an airplane to get from their gate to actually get their takeoff clearance and leave. So I'm doing that. I'm marking the strip. I have to put a time down. No, I had to write something on somebody's strip. I was doing something. And I look up, because you always want to be looking. That's the thing about being a tower controller. You're constantly looking outside. That's what you need to be doing. It's not like radar where everything is on that radar screen in front of you. In the tower, you have to look outside. You're looking everywhere. I'm looking at runway 8 left. I'm looking at runway 8 right. I just cleared someone for takeoff, so I've scanned the entire runway. I'm looking at the taxiways adjacent to it. I'm looking at runway 12. I'm looking at runway 9, even though I'm fairly sure I don't have any airplanes on any other runway. I only have the one airplane because it's still early. I still want to scan everywhere. So which means you got to actually turn your head and look at stuff. You got to, at Miami, it was a thing. One of the old school controllers like, oh, you got to drop step. You got to do the drop step. And what he meant was, in order to see runway 9, you had to actually turn around and look at it. And you had to take a step towards it because of the angle from the tower. You want to be able to see the tie-ins, the taxiways, and the runway and all that. So you have to take a drop step, go over there, look, and come back. So, if you're a good air traffic controller, you're moving. You can't just sit in one spot in a tower and see everything that you need to be seeing. Right? And I'm not just looking at the airplanes on the ground. I'm looking at the sky. I'm looking up. Is there anything out there? Is there anything out there that shouldn't be there? Like, what's going on? I'm looking for that. So I'm doing all that stuff, and I look up and I see Avianca has started their takeoff roll, just like Southwest did here. And they were powering up, and I key up, and I just, Avianca, we'll just make up a number. Avianca 780, stop, cancel takeoff clearance. Almost identical to what this guy's doing. The only thing that this controller did that I didn't do, I didn't say anything about you being on the taxiway. I ain't say nothing. That's, to me, I'm like, that's lightweight snitching. I ain't throw nobody under the bus. I just said, cancel takeoff clearance, stop. They powered down, they canceled takeoff clearance, and they went down the run. They went down quite a bit on the taxiway. Stop. They stopped. I checked with ground control. Hey, ground, I'm going to taxi them back. Ground control was watching everything. It's like, yep, no problem. They had nothing coming out. I told them, right turn this intersection, join taxiway. I forget what it was up on the north side. I forget the taxiway, but like, join taxiway November, runway 8 right taxi via November, right? So I just basically taxied them back down. So no harm, no foul, stopped them. They didn't get so fast as it was like a serious incident or anything like that, but they were lined up on the taxiway. And had I not seen that, they would have taken off, or worse, they would have hit someone who was, coming out for taxi or something like that. So, and it's similar to this thing right here. Probably the same amount of distance the Southwest got. That's how far the Avianca got. We were able to stop them. We brought them back down, and they departed without incident. We made a notation in a log, like, hey, we stopped this aircraft from potentially departing, and the log would have gone, something along the lines of, it appeared that the aircraft was powering up to depart on a taxiway. Local controller stopped them. No loss of separation, no other incident, and then whatever. They departed without incident, whatever. But here in Orlando, the controller kind of threw him under the bus. The controller was like, "You on the taxiway?" And as soon as the tower was screaming, "Stop! Cancel takeoff clearance," I'm pretty sure that the air crew knew what they did. You could hear it in their voice. They're like, "Uh-oh," and the tower just threw him under the bus, in my opinion. Like, I wouldn't have said anything about you on the taxiway. I wouldn't have said nothing. I just would have gave a taxi instruction back to the runway. I would have departed them. And then, you know what? That Southwest crew would have sent donuts or pizza or something like that to the tower, because it saved him a heap of paperwork, for just making this boneheaded mistake. Now, that's how I would have handled it. But, it could have been a supervisor up there. Supervisor could have told the controller, hey, tell him he's on the taxiway. And then the controller is just going to pass that information along. You never know. But this sort of thing does happen. It happened to me twice in my career. The second time it was at Van Nuys. It was an airplane trying to land on a taxiway. And, you can't have that, right? So we told them to go around. They just got confused. Van Nuys, there's a lot of people training, learning how to fly. So, that's why the controllers there are really vigilant. But yeah, that's what happened. So we'll just listen to this one last time. You see how fast this is, guys. This is just like quick. It's one of those quick things. Happens all the time. You're trying to start your day, and this is what happens. It's like, oh man, I just got here, and you don't know what the FAA is going to do or what management is going to do. You just, you make your report, you fill out your paperwork, you tell the supervisor what happened, and then you get back to work. So let's watch it one last time.
Via Hotel 2 to 17 right, Hotel 2 Southwest 3278.
Stop 3278, stop was 3278, stop, cancel takeoff clearance. You're on Hotel Taxiway, Southwest 3278.
Southwest 3278, yes sir, which stop?
The right turn back on the Gulf. Do you need to cool the brakes, or can you go straight to the runway?
Yeah, Southwest 3278, affirmative. We're going to need a few minutes here. We'll call you back.
Okay, no problem. Golf short of Golf 1.
Yeah, it says we're going to need to hold here for about 30 minutes to break cool.
Southwest 3278, roger. Just pull into the southwest ramp, and you can just hold in the southwest ramp there.
Okay, so now hearing all that, my story with Avianca, there were no high brakes. I mean, literally, they just started to power up, and I was telling them to stop. So, I mean, they just kind of powered up, and then they slowed down, and they just taxied right back out and took off. This, with the high brakes, that means that they were really hauling butt down the taxiway. They were probably getting real close to actually departing, actually taking off. So for them to hit their brakes like that and get the high brakes, and that need 30 minutes to cool those brakes down, that means that they were really moving. This is a problem. I'm just going to keep it 100. This is a problem. No one saw it. I mean, ground control didn't see them. The local controller didn't see them. They gave the clearance, and then they didn't see them until after they really powered up on the throttle there. So it sounds to me like, woo, you would think that someone would have seen that a little sooner, but at least they did see it and they were able to stop it. I'm pretty sure, because I know you guys are thinking like, well, has anyone ever managed to take off or land from a taxiway? I'm fairly certain of it, yeah. I've never seen it, I've never heard of it, but something like that, if it happened and the controllers realized that they didn't see the aircraft land and the pilot realizes that they landed on the taxiway, but they're not going to say anything, they're not telling themselves, it was a non-event because no one saw it, right? It's like, you know what I mean? Like if a tree falls in the woods, no one's there to hear it. Did it make any noise? Like, yeah, it made noise. But like it's in air traffic, it's like, hey, if no one saw it, in the tower especially, then it didn't happen because the pilot and the pilot in command ain't gonna tell themselves. Now, if other aircraft saw it and they keyed up and said something, well, then you got to, that's gonna start the investigation. But having the high brakes like that tells me that Southwest was going. And Southwest is known for getting up and go, bro. They get to the runway, they take off. They get the clearance, man, they are gone. That's anyone's ever worked Southwest, which I never really worked. I never worked at Southwest Airport. That's what they tell me about Southwest. They're like, bro, they will fly anytime they turn the corner and go. You can count on them, but they are not messing around. Like one dude was like, bro, you never have to give Southwest an immediate takeoff because that's how they take off. It's always immediate. So it's pretty crazy. And then we got Brother Carlos. They're like, speaking of taxiways, I was flying out of Santa Paula and heard Han Solo flying around his Husky. Yep. Han Solo, Harrison Ford is a pilot. He flies that Husky all the time. He crashed in Orion, I don't know, about 7 or 8 years ago. He had to set that thing down in a park somewhere near Santa Monica. And if I'm not mistaken, he also was certified. I think he's type rated for helicopters, I think. I know that Clint Eastwood was a helicopter pilot. I know Bill Burr is a helicopter pilot. I think Harrison Ford may have been type rated for a helo, but we have to check on that next time we see him or hear him on frequency. We'll have to ask him. But that was a funny story right there. But yeah, man, Harrison Ford is an aviator, man. He loves to fly, and he has quite a few airplanes. That's cool. That's a cool story. So yeah, man, that's what happened at Orlando. Air traffic control was able to save the day. That's crazy. I ain't gonna lie to you. But that's what we're there for. And remember we were talking about we were breaking down one of these videos, and I was saying, hey, if you're an air traffic controller, you won't get certified on your positions until someone hears you say stop, stop, stop. That's like every air traffic controller in their career is going to be screaming at pilots to stop, 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 stop. Because you see what they're doing is like, no, don't do that. They're going the wrong way or whatever. They're taking off the wrong surface area, like here. Stop, stop, stop. So that's the first video, guys. That's the first video. The second video, this takes place at Mayo Airport, Van Nuys, California. And this one looks like it's a massive bird strike. Massive bird strike, broken windshield, and blood at Van Nuys. We're going to get into this. I saw this, not on this platform, but I saw someone else did this video a few days ago. So I was already keyed up for a different video. Then I saw that VAS has it, so I wanted to go with this. But I listened to it. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and break this down. It's like he landed, talking about Harrison Ford, like, yeah, he landed at Taxiway Charlie in Burbank or something like that. Yeah. I don't know about that one. I know that when I was still in LA, so this would have been, gosh, man, this would have been 2015, 16, somewhere there, 13. It was on the news and everything. He landed in a park somewhere in the Santa Monica area, if I'm not mistaken. He landed in the park. No one got hurt. He was fine. He bumped his head. He had like a cut or something, but he was able to put it down. I think the Ryan lost, he just lost the engine and he couldn't make it to the airport. So, but yeah, landed at the Taxiway Charlie. That vaguely sounds familiar, bro. So he probably did that too. I mean, Harrison Ford, he ain't no spring chicken, man. A lot of these pilots, especially in the GA world, man, they're older. So, yeah, I got stories about that, man. One of these days I'll tell you some of my horror stories dealing with some of these older guys flying around. They're nice, they're sweet, but it's like some of these dudes, the state wouldn't allow them to have a driver's license, but these guys were flying. So I'll tell some of those stories one day down the road. But let's check out this massive bird strike at Van Nuys. And yeah, let's get into this. Right, so this was March 15th, 2025. This is a Beechcraft E-55. This is a Barron, November 994 Whiskey Yankee, performing flights from North Las Vegas, VGT, to Van Nuys, VNY. Was on final approach when the pilot declared Mayday, 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 reporting his windscreen cracked. The cockpit was full of blood. He couldn't hear anything on the radio, and they needed to land immediately for medical assistance. So, great breakdown. Let's get into it.
SoCal 994 Whiskey Yankee, frequency change to Van Nuys, please. 4 Whiskey Yankee, Van Nuys, Star 193, have a good night.
So right away, what's going on here? So it's 994 Whiskey Yankee. He's inbound. He's at 2,800 feet. Descending, he's doing 160 knots. This is just all the stuff on his data tag on his radar. When you look at this, so he's about 8 to 10 miles north of the airport. He's approaching the San Fernando Reservoir. Here is the Van Nuys Airport. You see the circle here, that's the Van Nuys VOR. Then you got two lines. You got one real long line, that's runway 16, right? And then you got a line about half the size, that's runway 16 left, parallel runways. Over here, you see this like X over here close to this little icon, this VASAviation icon. Over here, this is the Burbank Airport, right? So this is Burbank Airport over here, and you can't see it, but Whiteman Airport's another airport just up here. You can't really see it, but Whiteman Airport is like right around in this area right here. So you got three airports like in close proximity to one another. It's nighttime. This is an experienced general aviation pilot. You can probably tell from his voice, like he knows what he's doing. He's coming in. This is like close to closing time at Van Nuys. He's talking to a radar controller, Southern California TRACON, and that guy is sitting in San Diego, California. So the radar controllers who work this airspace in the San Fernando Valley, like up in, Southern California, the LA area, those controllers are actually living in San Diego. So just so you guys know, like, that's how this stuff works. Normally when you're dealing with radar guys, it used to be that the radar guys would be right there in that airspace. So before they had Southern California TRACON, the Burbank area would be at the Burbank airport. So Burbank had a radar facility and they had a tower, and the controllers would go back and forth working the tower and then working the radar room. So when they moved, they consolidated all of these smaller radars, these smaller TRACONs into one big building and made it like a super TRACON. And that building is all the way down in San Diego. So, and down there, they're configured for the overnight shift. So this controller that's working, he's either the guy that's going to be there working the rest of the night, or he's one of the last couple controllers waiting for that overnight shift to get in. The overnight shift will relieve him, and then he will go home for the night. So this is just nice, slow. You can see there's nothing in the sky. There's nothing on the radar, just this one airplane. There's nothing going on. So the pilot is asking the radar controller, hey, can we have a frequency change to Van Nuys Tower, which means he knows that he should have been given a frequency change. He knows he should be talking to Van Nuys Tower. He knows the frequency is 119.3, but the pilot can't do that without permission from the radar controller. So he's kind of prompting the controller, hey, can I go to tower? Yep, contact Van Nuys Tower 119.3. I think the controller said 19.3. Again, if you're looking for perfect phraseology, 19.3 isn't perfect phraseology. It should be 119.3. So let's continue.
Barron 4 Whiskey Yankee, Van Nuys Tower 119.3.
There it is. Perfect. And you should have said contact Van Nuys Tower 119.3. And a lot of people are like, man, you just splitting hairs. But that's what they do. When they listen to your phraseology, when they do the phraseology tech checks, or when something goes wrong, they want your phraseology to be textbook. And textbook is contact Van Nuys Tower 119.3, contact Burbank Tower 118.7. You know what I mean? Contact Miami Tower 118.7. I think that's Miami. So whatever 18.3. Contact Miami Tower 118.3. So whenever you give a frequency change, you want to clearly state the facility and the frequency. But again, most controllers don't do that, and they still like, oh, you have perfect phraseology. Like, no, you don't.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. Window flag. November 994 Whiskey Yankee, how do you hear? Southwest 1937 cross, South cut above 4, cleared ILO Zulu 8 approach, just acknowledge your ident. November 994 Whiskey Yankee, SoCal approach.
November 994 Whiskey Yankee, Van Nuys Tower, you on frequency?
Van Nuys, mayday, mayday. 994 Whiskey Yankee. We have window flag, immediate landing. I cannot hear you.
All right, 994 Whiskey Yankee, Van Nuys Tower, runway 16 straight short and clear to land.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. 994 Whiskey Yankee. We need to land soon.
November 994 Whiskey Yankee, Van Nuys Tower, runway 16 right shortened, cleared to land.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. 994 Whiskey Yankee. We have window flag, we cannot hear anything. Immediate landing, runway 16 right.
November 994 Whiskey Yankee, Van Nuys Tower, runway 16 right shortened, clear to land.
We need medical. We need medical.
November 994 Whiskey Yankee, Van Nuys Tower, runway 16 right shortened, cleared to land. What is the nature of the medical emergency, if you can hear this transmission?
Yeah. We have runway inside straight in. We need a medical.
Number 4 Whiskey Yankee, Van Nuys Tower, understood. We've got emergency vehicles that'll be standing by, runway 16 right short and clear to land. Crash 114 Van Nuys aircraft.
All right, so you noticed how everyone was nice and smooth, and everyone was like calm and just chilling, whatever. Yeah, contact Tower 119.3. Yeah, I need to go to tower. Yeah. Then this guy calls in, mayday, mayday, mayday. So first off, when you hear mayday, 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 that basically means you don't have control of the aircraft. You're probably rapidly losing altitude. You might be spinning, like it's all kind of stuff. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Generally, when a controller hears that, they're like, that aircraft is going down right now. That's the mayday call. Technically, what this pilot wanted to say is pan, 994 Whiskey Yankee. And then the tower will reach out to him, right? We're not going to hold that against this pilot. Something serious just happened to his airplane. It's like my windshield is cracked. I can't hear the controllers. The SoCal controller heard the mayday call. Mayday, mayday, mayday. So now he's up, right? The supervisor is up in San Diego. They're all running over there to see what's going on. The supervisor at Van Nuys is probably just sitting there. Van Nuys probably didn't hear that right away. They're just kind of sitting there looking at the airplane. They could see the light out the window. The second call was to Van Nuys. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Now Van Nuys is jumping up, right? The controller's perking up, and he's okay. Remember I was just talking about perfect phraseology, right? That dude, that controller's thinking about his phraseology right now. Like, I want to say this exactly like the book. This dude just called a mayday. He's probably not going to make the airport. I want to make my life easy for me right now. And he used perfect phraseology. He's like, runway 16 right, shorten, clear the land. And he's using very little words. He's being very succinct. We'll talk about what the runway 16 right, shorten stuff means in a second. But this guy, like the controller, it's like, hey, man, I want to do this by the book. They still don't know what's wrong. All they know is this pilot is in distress, right? And just a quick side note, the radar pilot, when he heard that mayday, 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 he made a quick call to Southwest, and he was telling Southwest he was clearing for the approach, clear for the approach, and he told him, acknowledge with ident, right? And the pilot said ident. What the controller wanted the pilot to do was push a button in his airplane. The ident function would have sent a signal on the radar that the controller can see is flashing, and that will let him know that pilot accepted the information and he's gone. But the pilot cleared up and said ident because that's literally what the controller said. Respond with ident. Instead of saying, if you accept this clearance, ident. He said respond with ident. So, so again, air traffic control is a world of words. All you have are your words. You have to use them correctly. If you want to get, it's a nothing. It means nothing. The pilot of that air carrier knew there's a problem going on. There's a mayday call out there. He wants to do everything he can to help the air traffic controller because, the air traffic controller is going to do everything he can to help the pilot. So the controller said, respond with ident. So the guy keyed up and said ident. If the controller had said, if you understand this transmission, ident, and then the pilot just would have idented and he would have hit a button and it would have been done. So, I just wanted to paint that's one of those things. Will they say anything to that controller about using that phraseology? No, they're not gonna. Unless they just wanted to really give him a hard time, they're not gonna. But someone's gonna write that down in their report. They're gonna note it in their report. But nothing negative is gonna happen to that controller. Back to Barron 4 Whiskey Yankee. Now Barron 4 Whiskey Yankee is talking to Van Nuys. Mayday, mayday, mayday. I need help. My windshield is cracked. I can't hear you. I need medical assistance. I need medical. The tower has already reached out to him, cleared the land a few times. Brother Carlos, right away, it's like, oh, green lamp, right? So what does it mean? Green light. So in every tower, there are light guns. And light guns are just that. It's a gun that's basically a really bright light, and it has different colors, right? You got green, you got red, you got white, right? So when a situation like this occurs, a pilot declares mayday, they're asking for a landing clearance, it's nighttime, and the pilot is saying, I can't hear. The first thing you do is grab that light gun and you shoot a solid green light on that aircraft, and you keep that light on that aircraft until he lands. And at nighttime, you can really see it, but you got to know where to look. So you keep that green light on that guy. So I guarantee you, Brother Carlos, the minute he said, I can't hear, they lit him up with the green light, and that light stayed on him until they established two-way radio communication. So he definitely had a green light. The key is you got to know where to look for that light. It's nighttime. generally all you got to do is really look to the airport. You see the airport, you see the tower, you will see a green light beaming right at you. So, but that's how we handle it. I know a lot of people like, that's it? That's the technology? Like, yeah, that's it. And it works really well, right? The only time you have a problem is when there's multiple airplanes who can't hear and, you know, you want one to take off and you want one to stop. Like it's you know, you got a red light, you got a green light, it can be a problem. But generally speaking, that light gun signal works like a charm. So guarantee you that they were lighting him up with the green light. It's like, did the pilot hear the ATC? He did not initially, but as he went on, he was able to hear. So I guess the assumption is this pilot got hit by maybe a bird or something. You know, initially I would be thinking like, man, something hit this aircraft, something messed up his windshield. It could be a bird, it could be a drone, it could be anything. You don't know what it is. This pilot definitely needs help. This pilot is going to land. Right? So you give him that green light, you keep clearing him. We call it in the blind. If he can't hear you, just keep key up again, you clear him to land. You just keep doing that. Green light, gun signal, and you're clearing him to land. But eventually they were able to get two-way communication, and the controller is telling him, yes, we have emergency vehicles standing by, and now you're about to hear the emergency vehicles talk to the tower. Crash 114 is going to be talking, and is going to be asking how far away is the aircraft. So that's where we are now. Let's continue.
Aircraft is approximately a mile and a half final, and as soon as they get over threshold, we'll get you guys going. Unknown nature of the medical emergency.
Copy that, Van Nuys ground. Van Nuys, we have runways at your final. We need to land soon.
All right, 994 Whiskey Yankee, Van Nuys Tower, runway 16 right short and clear to land.
Need to land.
4 Whiskey Yankee again, use caution, runway 16 right is shortened, sir.
That part right there, I wouldn't have said anything. I'd have stuck to the book. And if I had to critique whoever this controller is working, I would not have mentioned runway 16 right is shortened, sir. I wouldn't have said that. The textbook, the book tells you runway 16 right short and clear to land. I would have said that. But I understand why the controller is doing it. The controller wants to make sure that the pilot doesn't go and use the closed portion of the runway. So the runway is shortened. When you use that phraseology, that means that there's something going on with that runway. In this case, it's shortened, which means you don't have the full landing distance available. So the runway might end, hundreds of feet, sooner than it normally does. So in the phraseology, you have to say runway 16 right. Whatever the runway is shortened, clear to land. It's in the ATIS. Pilots have been briefed on it. There's a notice to airmen out there about it. There's barriers out there. There's all sorts of stuff, right? Because they want to make sure it's lit up so the pilots can see that the runway is shortened. So this is why the controller went that extra mile, like, hey, the runway is shortened, sir. He wants to make sure he drives that home. The runway is shortened because he doesn't want the guy to land and then run off the end of the runway. It's like one emergency, now you're going to make it two. So, and the only reason I said that I wouldn't have said that is, let's say you say the runway is shortened, sir. That's not out of the book. It's not textbook, but it is plain. It's plain and easy to understand English. When it goes to court, and it will go to court, the other lawyer will say, well, you confused him when you said that. If you had just said the runway 16 right is shortened as it is in the book, he wouldn't have ran off the end of the runway. But because you went the extra mile, that confused him, and he went off the end of the runway. I've been through that. So I learned the hard way. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it by the book, especially when it's an emergency situation. So, and that's what it is. Yep, and the pilot did not read it back, and that's why the controller wanted to throw that in there. You're right. The pilot did not read it back. But, as an air traffic controller, you do the best you can. And, and controllers there to help the pilots, man, especially in stuff like this. Like, this guy is in distress, no doubt about it. So we're going to find out exactly what happened to the aircraft. It looks like they were able to get some information. Let's check this out. Look at that. Wow. Hold on. Let me pause this. Look at that. His entire windshield is just smashed. Look at that. I've never seen anything like that. Wow. The entire windshield is smashed.
Barron 4 Whiskey Yankee, we landed safely. Thank you so much. And then we're going to take it to the runway and taxi to southwest corner. We need a medical.
4 Whiskey Yankee, understood. Do you want to just get the medical assistance on taxiway, officer?
Negative. We're going to taxi to southwest corner and I need a medical there in American Aviation, please.
Which is smart on the pilot's part. He's like, look, aircraft is banged up. There's blood in here. My people who are flying this airplane with me, they're hurt. He doesn't want to stop on the taxiway because someone's going to have to get that airplane to that ramp. In the southwest corner of Van Nuys, that American Aviation is on like the furthest point of the airport. It's like all the way south. So he's like, I'm just taxiing. I'm going to take this thing down there. He's got probably 3 or 4 medical vehicles following him, at least 3 or 4, probably more than that. And paramedics are in that caravan. He's going to go down there. And then the fire guys and the first responders are going to do what they do. The airport operators are going to be there, like the airport managers are going to be there as well. And they want to find out what happened. And as you can see, guys, they had that big old smash window.
Understood. Text to southwest corner of Alpha. What is the nature of the medical emergency, sir?
Okay, we have a cockpit window crack. I think we hit something. I'm not sure what. But my window was okay, and suddenly it's cracked. And my my other pilots got a lot of blood here because of the window crack. Yeah, I think we got a bird strike. We are already at the American Aviation hangar. Everything is good. Thank you so much for the help. Oh, we're freezing cold here. Lucky we're landed safely. We got a lot of blood inside the cockpit, and then we got a lot of fender here, so it's confirmed positive. We got a big bird on final, and that's what's the cost.
That is air traffic control. End of the night, that Van Nuys controller was like, yep, probably going home in 30 minutes, 45 minutes, easy day. Then all of a sudden you get this. And you're not going anywhere. You're going to be there at least 2 hours extra doing paperwork, answering questions. People are going to be calling, looking for information. I would not have asked, again, if I were the controller, I would not have asked what the nature of the emergency was or anything like that. That very, very last transmission that the tower made, I wouldn't have made that. I wouldn't have. Because you got airport operations down there, you got first responders down there. They're going to get all that information, and they're going to call you with all that information. Like, I'm an old school controller. My thing is keep as much off the frequency as possible. I don't want to deal with that. They're going to call on the phone. I'm going to get all that information. Now, when the aircraft was in the air, when someone declares an emergency, you have to get number of people on board. You have to get the fuel on board. Normally, they tell you in time, like fuel remaining. The way I was trained, it was souls on board and fuel remaining in time. I was in the military. The military always had how much fuel they had based on hours. And the FAA was just, personnel on board and fuel, and they'll tell you how many gallons they have. Like, we have this many gallons, or they give you an estimate. But that's what you need to get. But in this situation, the pilot was having trouble establishing two-way communication. There's the shock of his window being cracked open. There's feathers everywhere. There's blood everywhere. He's trying to fly the airplane. There's a lot going on. So I would have did what the controller did. I would have cleared him to land. My phraseology would have been good. I'd have used the light gun signals, green light all the way down. And once he landed, I'd have say, hey, you can stop there. I'd have given him gave him the option to stop on taxiway Alpha and get out and let the first responders do their thing. The pilot said, no, we're going to go all the way down to parking and then we're going to get out. Fine. Like, even better for me, that gets you off of my movement area. And I'm done. Once you're off the taxiway, that's it. I just have to write down what I saw, when I saw it. You write what I said in my report, done. And the airport operator is going to do a report. The fire department is going to do a report. The paramedics is going to do a report. The radar controller down in San Diego, they're going to do a report. So then all those reports get, come together and, they give all that to the NTSB. The NTSB is going to go in and investigate this as well. That seemed like a pretty big bird strike. Now, in the San Fernando Valley, in around, Van Nuys, I've seen like hawks and stuff like that. I remember flying around in helicopters with law enforcement, and some of those hawks, man, they'll fly right up to the helicopter like their talons out trying to attack the helicopter, which is crazy. Like, they're going to get cut up by the blades. But, it's funny that those birds can get aggressive like that, but it happens. But man, oh man, I tell you what, man, I've never seen that kind of damage done to a fixed wing like that. I've seen damage. I've seen some real bad damage done, but I've just never seen that one from a bird strike. I've never seen that. I'm glad that guy landed safely. And, you know, looks like he went home and had a good night, you know, and that's, his blood is rushing. I'm pretty sure he stopped off to get himself a nice little drink before he went home. I guarantee you that. So, yeah, there you go, man. Just another day in air traffic control, bro. Like I said, if mainstream media wants to report on air traffic control situations, especially general aviation, bro, there's at least 10 stories a day that they could run with if they wanted to. You saw what happened at Orlando with Southwest. Right? There's always things like that. You guys saw what happened. I think it was in Chicago when you had a business jet cross in front of a Southwest Airlines trying to land. He had to go around. You see this thing here with this Barron. You know, this twin engine lightweight aircraft out there flying and a big bird smashes through the windshield. You still got to fly the airplane. Luckily, the bird didn't hit the pilot in the face. Could you imagine if that bird had hit him and if he had been cut up and stuff, maybe, you know, could only use one eye? Man, that would have been a problem. So that's just it. And as an air traffic controller, end of the night, you're thinking you made it through the day unscathed, and then boom, last 45 minutes of your night, mayday, mayday, mayday. It's like, oh, like, uh-oh. But yeah, the mayday thing, bro, you hear mayday, you're thinking that that aircraft is falling out of the sky. Luckily, that wasn't a mayday. It was more of a pan situation, which means it's like I have an immediate situation here. But again, no one's going to get mad at the pilot. You know, unable mayday because that's not a real emergency. Respond with pan. No one's going to do that. And if an air traffic controller did that, he'll be fired on the spot. He's sued into the poorhouse, bro. You just, you don't do that. So that's it, guys. That's it. That's our ATC conversation for today. For the most part, the controllers involved in these two videos, they did a bang-up job. They did their jobs. The controllers in Orlando did stop Southwest from taking off, that's their job. The radar controller and the tower controller out in California, the Van Nuys controller, did his job. He got as much information as he felt he could get without overtasking the pilot. They're not going to bug you for, you know, souls and all that kind of stuff, like how many people on board, how much fuel. We're not going to bug you with all that. When your windshield is cracked, you could barely hear me anyway. I guarantee you they gave him a green light. That green light was on that airplane, you know, and they just took care of business. It's simple as that. And you just, in air traffic control, you go from 0 to 100, just like that, bro. Just like that. You just sitting around talking, hey, what's going on, man? Everything is cool. And the next moment you're like, oh my God, what's going on? And you got to calm yourself down. That's the number one thing. When I was training controllers in the agency, when I was in the FAA, I would tell them, you got to calm yourself down, man. The pilot needs you to be calm. He is freaking out in the airplane. He has a lot to do, or she has a lot to do. They need you to be calm and help them think. If they hear that you're calm, they'll calm down, right? They'll calm down. So, and I got stories about that too, man. We could talk about another day, but sometimes in air traffic, a good experienced controller can stop a situation from happening just because they're calm and their voice is steady and they know what they're doing and they're speaking clearly with instructions that make sense. And the pilot will just snap into it and start doing what they need to do. But if the controller loses it and he starts sounding like he doesn't know what he's doing and he's freaking out and the pilot's freaking out, that's going to be a bad day. That's going to be a bad day. So yeah, that's it. That's all we got, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to continue to do the air traffic control breakdowns. I kind of like doing them. It's fun. And then I'm thinking about doing some historical stuff, man. I'm going to be talking about, you guys know I'm a former paratrooper. I think I want to do a couple shows about, you know, some military stuff. I think the first show I'm going to do is going to be about the 555th Parachute Infantry Company, the Triple Nickel, as they're known. by those who loved them, which was the first all black, the first African American parachute infantry company in the United States Army, and they were formed during, I think it was 1943. I think I'm gonna do a show about the history of the triple nickel. And as a paratrooper, you know, a black man descended from slaves, I mean, that's something near and dear to my heart. And the crazy thing is, I never knew about the triple nickel. I was a paratrooper, all the stuff I did, I never knew about the triple nickel until I got out of the Army. So I think I'm gonna do a story on the triple nickel. I'm not sure when I'm gonna do it, but I think I'm gonna do it. And that's it, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I appreciate you rocking out with me. I gotta go make my daughter some hamburgers and fries for dinner. I promised I'll make her some hamburgers and fries, and thank goodness for those air fryers, right? Man, them things are perfect. So I hope you enjoyed that, man. Brother Carlos, brother Dr. B in the building, man. Appreciate y'all, man. Dr. Mark out for y'all for rocking out with me. And I'll be back on Thursday, man. We'll be back on Thursday, and we will probably talk a little bit more about air traffic control. There's a breakdown about actually what happened. I was just talking about it earlier with the business jet crossing the active runway, and the landing aircraft had to go around the air carrier. There's the reports are out on that, and there is a YouTuber, Captain Stevie, something like that. He's breaking that down. You know what? I think that's what we'll do. We'll break down his reaction, and I'll add the ATC 2 cents to what he's saying. We'll do that on Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you guys there. I'm DL Saint. I'm going to talk to you later. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.